What's up everybody, welcome to the Game of the Week show, episode number 3. I'm your host Matt Southwell, and on my right is the ever-present Dan Gilbert.
Hey everyone.
Thanks for coming out again.
No worries, Matt.
I know it's always hard to give up your mornings, so I appreciate it.
No worries.
Right, on my left should be Ashley Dye, but you will see it's a vacant chair this morning. He's unfortunately enjoyed life a bit too much last night, I think, so he's still in bed asleep. So Ash, if you're watching, you are a lazy bum. But anyway, on with the show. Before we start, to those of you that are new to the Game of the Week show, it is 3 friends, or in this case, 2 friends, sitting around this table every Monday to discuss the top news stories from the video game industry. We'll then close out the show with our featured Game of the Week. Okay, so let's get straight on with the news. And number 1 on our list this week, Infamous Second Son is getting standalone DLC in the form of First Light. We've had a confirmed release date of the 26th of August, and in this DLC you will be taking on the role of Fetch, who is the female character from Second Son, and the story will entail revenge on the people that have wronged her. Now, I personally am a huge Infamous fan. It's the first game I ever platinumed for the PlayStation system, and I can't wait to test this out. Dan, I know you haven't yet ventured into the Infamous series, but the fact that this is standalone DLC, which basically means you don't even need to have the game itself, is this maybe a cheaper way of venturing into the series for you?
It could be. I mean, it's one of those things where if you play a little bit of the game, it might hook someone in a bit more. So not just for me personally, but other people as well who might have seen Infamous stuff, but not necessarily wanted to jump in on a full retail game. It might work.
Yeah, no, and the good thing is it is a prequel, so those of you out there that haven't played Second Son, which I will say, I don't know why you haven't, it's a fantastic game, but we won't go into that. But this might be a cheaper way of you checking out the Infamous series on the 26th of August. Okay, number 2 on the list, I'm going to hand straight to Dan to talk you through this. The Last of Us has been in the news again this week. Dan, why don't you tell us more about it?
Yep, well, as we mentioned before, The Last of Us is being remastered and being released, and they're now bundling it together with the PS4 system. So this was something that was actually leaked on Amazon France, that ever useful sieve of information.
They're good for their leaks, they are.
Yeah, and but no, it got confirmed, and when The Last of Us comes out, you can get it with the PS4.
Okay, so that's quite interesting. I mean, I would imagine most people that already have a PS4 are probably the more Sony fans that have been in the PS3 era and therefore probably have played The Last of Us because it was one of the best games. I know you've recently started it. You're a bit late, but better late than never. But I suppose I think this might be a good release that will help shift units for the people that they've maybe always been on the Xbox side, so they've missed the PS3, and maybe they haven't yet jumped into the new console at all. I don't know. There are a lot of people out there that have been waiting for more games to come out. And do you think this will help shift units? Because I think without a doubt it's going to.
I think it will. I mean, they've not really had a lot of big name exclusives so far for the PS4 to come out to pair it with the system. So I think that could work. I mean, personally, I only didn't play The Last of Us earlier because it was at a time where I thought I'll hang back because I started hearing rumours of the remastered version coming out on the PS4. So maybe this will be a way of jumping people on. Yeah,
so you guys out there, I know summer gaming is normally a bit quiet, so look out for it coming out next month. Get yourself a PS4, get yourself The Last of Us. It's one of the best games you'll ever play, and you will not regret it at all. Okay, number 3 on our list, and it appears German studio Crytek is in some financial difficulties as it was discovered that they have been unable to pay their staff recently. In addition to this, it appears that the sequel to the Xbox One exclusive, Rise, is also currently on hold. Now, Dan, obviously, people losing their jobs, people not being paid, this is very sad in any industry, but this doesn't appear to be the first studio that has run into some sort of financial trouble over the last 12 months. Why do you think we're seeing this kind of recurring trend of game studios, or not just studios but developers as well, sometimes having hard times?
Sometimes I think it's down to the simple fact of the budget that they're trying to put into a game. They're overstretching, they're putting a lot into it, expecting it to do well, then it comes out, hits the market, and it flops. Same as you might see in the movie industry. that a certain film might be hyped up and so on, but then when it comes out, it starts getting reviews, people start seeing it, word of mouth spreads, and it just doesn't do as well. But in the film industry, it's a lot bigger, and it can afford to sort of absorb some of the losses that it makes. But a small studio, if it puts, say, 50-60 million into the creation, it only comes back at about half of that in terms of sale value.
Yeah, it's a lot.
That's a lot of money to suddenly lose as a company.
Yeah, I suppose I see a point. A lot of people are probably on tight budgets and like tight deadlines as well. And you know, Rise obviously was their latest game that came out, and I played a little bit of it. It's okay. It's not great. I think, you know, reviews have also said it's a bit of fun, but it looks beautiful. But the gameplay is a little bit repetitive, and I don't know. I don't think it wasn't a huge seller. I don't think at the start.
No. I mean, I don't have numbers in front of me or anything like that, but from what I've read, it was considered a bit of a disappointment in the sales department compared to what they were hoping, being a Xbox One exclusive launch title.
Yeah. I suppose it was just. I think they probably suffered a little bit from the fact that Xbox One was not the primary console of choice when people were jumping on next gen.
Yeah.
It still sold a lot, but you know, a lot of Xbox Ones, in order to help with the release, they were being shipped with free copies of Forza, free copies of FIFA 14. So if people were already forking out £400 for a console and they got a game with it, maybe they didn't see the need to be purchasing that second game, especially a game that was not at the top of a critical scale. You know, you had games like Assassin's Creed that were launched at the same time, which was obviously very well received, and you know, the Call of Duty, the Battlefield. I mean,
that's just it. They released at the time of where a lot of games start coming out for the Christmas period. So
Christmas mania.
Yeah, so it just got lost, I think, in amongst everything else.
No, yeah, it's a shame. I mean, Crytek, they obviously do push boundaries quite a lot with their technology. Crysis, when it came out for the PC, I mean, I played the first one. I haven't played 2 or 3, but I remember at the time everyone was talking about it, and like, this was the game. It was the most beautiful game. So the guys over at Crytek obviously do have a lot of what's the word I'm looking for? Good technical skills.
Yeah.
And hopefully they'll sort it out themselves, or if not, maybe someone like Microsoft will jump in and take over the studio. I mean, just to help them with firming down that exclusivity, because obviously Sony have got a lot of good studios, so Microsoft need as many as they can get.
Yeah.
Okay, and number 4 on our list, and Mario Kart has officially sold over 2 million units so far. Now, that's obviously a really high number, and do we think that this is maybe a sign of better times ahead for the Wii U?
It could be. I mean, I don't know. What I'd actually like to see is numbers comparing how many of that is just people buying the game, and how many of those are people buying the Wii U and the game combined.
Yeah.
Is it helping to shift more Wii U consoles, or is it just people buying Mario Kart because it's Mario Kart?
Yeah, well, I mean, Wii U units, I believe at one stage the PS4 was already catching up to them, so there can't be many more than, say, 8 or 10 million Wii U's out there. So even if it's all games, you know, that's quite a good attach rate to the console. Now, I know in the week that it was released, about 86% were sold of the Wii U bundle. That accounted for 86% of all Wii U sales. So, but again, that's not indication of how many have been sold. You know, it could have been a case of there were 100,000 Wii U's sold that week, but 86,000 of them were with Mario Kart. So it's obviously selling well. For me, Mario Kart is the ultimate multiplayer racing game, though.
It is. It's a good party game, isn't it? To have.
Yeah, definitely. It's. I mean, I'll always remember it from the N64. That was like my. Yeah, and I know obviously it was a childhood console, and playing 4-player split screen on that game, like, I would lose hours, days, weekends playing that game. Whether it was racing, I mean, what was your favourite course? Mine was always mine was Donkey Kong. That course was awesome. Donkey Kong Jungle Way, I believe. Someone's going to rinse me in the comments now because it's not right.
You're throwing me under the bus right now because I cannot remember the name of any of them.
Well, obviously there was Warriors. Warriors Stadium was another one, which was good. Bowser's Castle was always the worst, though. I hated Bowser's Castle. The stupid rock heads that went left, right, and then down. No matter which way I went, I'm pretty sure it was mimicking my moves because I always got squashed and I always came last on that course. It was awful. But no, this version, you've seen the trailers and the gameplay.
Yeah, I've seen
it looks
gameplay.
So beautiful, doesn't it?
It does.
It's a real sign of actually that the Wii U is a next gen console as well. It's possibly one of the prettiest games out there. Like, not necessarily in terms of realism, but the colours on display and like all the animations. It looks so good. And I don't know, would this make you buy a Wii U? I'm tempted personally.
Not yet, no.
No, we need more Mario Kart like games. Not necessarily, obviously, Mario Kart because
I think there just needs to be a bit more on the Wii U before I really consider it.
Yeah, it's a shame. I would like Nintendo to do well because it was my childhood console.
Growing up, you pretty much raised on Nintendo and Sega.
Yeah. Well, those were. I mean, I was a Sega boy at first, but I did move when it became the N64. It was the N64 over the Dreamcast every day, and hopefully Nintendo can play catch up. But that is the sad reality. It's always going to be catch up, and they're going to be relying on their old characters of Mario and Zelda to pull them through. I think that's the way the problem lies.
Yeah.
Okay, number 5, and the final item on our news this week is PlayStation Plus and Xbox's Games with Gold have both been announced for July, the free games on offer. PlayStation Plus, if I introduce those ones first, PlayStation 4 comes with Towerfall Ascension and Strider. PS3 comes with Dead Space 3 and Vessel, and Vita comes with Lego Batman 2 and Doki Doki. Now those games will all be free for the month of July starting tomorrow, so make sure that you download those if you have a PlayStation Plus account. Why would you not have a PlayStation Plus account?
At this point, yeah. Especially if you have a PS4.
Yeah. Well, even if you don't, I mean, what is it, £30, I think? Is it £30? Maybe £40?
Yeah.
And that not only gives you discounts in the stores, but you're getting these free games every single month, and free is obviously free, so you're never going to moan too much. But every month they've come out, there's always been at least one game that I've been interested in. This month, definitely interested in checking out Lego Batman 2 on the Vita. It to me, in my mind, it's going to be the perfect game to maybe just play 15-20 minutes of when you're on the go. I don't know too much about the PS4 games. Towerfall looks quite interesting.
I'll definitely read into it a little bit more, check it out, see what it's actually about.
Yeah.
In comparison, I mean, none of the names really grabbed me off the bat as something I'd heard a lot about. I mean, I know obviously Dead Space 3, but I'm not a horror genre gamer, so that's going to pass me by. But in terms of the others, I'll look into them.
Yeah, no,
At least, I mean, like you said, they're free, so you don't lose anything by downloading it and having a look.
No, you don't even have to download them. If you're out there and you're worried about your hard drive space or your memory card space, all you've got to do is add them to your basket and then proceed to check out, and then they're yours forever. Well, I say forever, as long as you've got your PlayStation Plus account. And if you ever at one stage want to check it out, you can. Dead Space 3, I mean, the Dead Space games are really good. I haven't played the second one, I only briefly played the first one. They're okay. Like you said, I mean, horror games they're touch and go. Some are better than others, but it's definitely worth investigating when it's free. But when we compare this, say, to Xbox Games with Gold, Xbox One, now they're bringing in the Guacamelee Super Turbo Edition. Guacamelee I'm a huge fan of from the PlayStation Vita. I think I've already mentioned that before. Yeah. So anyone out there with an Xbox One, without doubt, download this game. It's one of the best kind of indie action games that you'll play. It's so much fun. It's beautiful to look at. The controls are fluid. But as good as that game is, the second game is Max Curse of Brotherhood again. Now that's what we already had last month, and that's just another sign of Sony being better than Microsoft. Why why do you reckon they're not giving us a second game?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know if there's a deal in place to keep it there longer, or they're just being lazy and can't be bothered to switch all of them out.
I don't know. Maybe they feel they don't have enough games. I suppose obviously Sony is a lot more loaded with the indies versus the Xbox.
Could be that. It could just be the indie market is making all that difference.
Well, I mean, like PS4 I don't think there's been any non-indie games available on the PS4 yet. They've all been kind of.
Not yet, no.
We've had like Dead Nation, Resogun obviously at the very start.
You had Outlast.
Outlast. Yeah, they've all been. We haven't had any what you would call, AA or AAA games yet.
No, you had some big names. You had some big name indies, but you haven't had.
Yeah, none of like the big
studios.
40, 50 quid, $60 games. So maybe
it'll come soon.
It will. Yeah, I think going back up onto the earlier story about Crytek, and I think Rise would probably be the first. Maybe it will be the first game for Xbox One. I just see it as a perfect. You touched on how that it's not done that well.
Yeah.
So maybe this is a way to help shift more units. And Microsoft should always be trying to push their exclusives.
Yeah.
Because that's what's going to get them back in the console market. Xbox 360. These two games I haven't heard of either. Was Gotham City Imposters and Battle Block Theatre. So, I mean, I recognise Battle Block, but I've never played it.
I've seen some Let's Play stuff on it. It's a game that strikes me as being good with friends.
Yeah.
But that's all I've seen. I've seen multiplayer stuff. I mean, I don't know if there's a single player version or mode within it, because I've not seen it, I've not read about it. But it strikes me as a game that if there is, probably wouldn't be that interesting.
No, I think it's safe to say, looking at the games, I mean, obviously you get more on the Sony platform because there is the handheld market as well. But even without that, I would say just Dead Space 3 alone is the PlayStation 3 are regularly releasing good games on that console.
Yeah.
So Microsoft, don't get me wrong, they are getting better. Guacamelee is probably going to go in there already as one of the easily in the top 10 games of best available on the Xbox One, maybe even top 5. I would have to think about it more. And 360, okay, you haven't got the big budget game this week or this month, but in the past they have been getting better. They've been giving us Splinter Cell, Saints Row. Last month was really good with I can't remember, Street Fighter 4.
Yeah.
And Dark Souls, that was the other one. So they're catching up. I mean, is it even worth me asking you if you think Sony's better?
No.
No, of course. You only have a Sony console, so
yeah, it makes no difference to me because I can only get one.
Yeah, but I would still say that they're ahead. But these offers are nothing but good for gamers.
That's true.
We all love free games. Go and download them. They're free. You have no excuse not to. Okay, so now it's that time of the show where we will feature our Game of the Week. This week we're going to be discussing Batman Arkham Knight. Now it's been in the news this week because we have an updated or rumoured updated release for this game. It was announced just before E3 that it was going to be delayed till 2015. Now, according to Microsoft's website, with regards to pre-orders of games, it will be coming out on the 24th of February. Now, we've seen a lot of this game at E3. First of all, or more importantly, with the trailer. Dan, what did you think of this trailer? It looked beautiful, didn't it?
It looks absolutely stunning as a game. To be honest, it's definitely one that looks like it's next gen. We've seen others where it's sort of that weird crossover period where there's not really looking like there's any distinct differences. The level of detail in that trailer,
yeah, just at the very start,
outstanding.
Yeah,
like just where you've got him, jumping off and gliding through the city. Those buildings.
Yeah, there are buildings.
No, but as in, like, those buildings are fantastic.
Yeah, no, I mean, you got to bear in mind that this is a game that's still, they're showing that at E3, so that's being done in June, which is still 8 months before it's released. So that's still got a game that's 7 more months of development to
still
go
got time to polish. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, a lot of people mentioned in the trailer that there were no people on the streets. which is obviously something that would be added in.
There's a reason for that.
Oh, is there a reason for that?
That is actually part of the game, is that Scarecrow has ransomed Gotham by saying that if the citizens don't leave, he will release an updated version of his nerve agent that we got to see in Batman Begins, which causes everyone to freak out and so on. So the city is pretty much abandoned by regular citizens by this point, leaving only the Gotham PD and Batman, basically, against all the villains that are amassing. It's actually in one of the trailers where you actually see people are panicking and leaving Gotham as quickly as they can.
Okay, so this is obviously probably a later part of the game, and the big thing we see almost straight away after the city's panned and he's dropped down is the Batmobile. Now this is a new addition to the Arkham series. We're the fourth one in now, but are you happy about the Batmobile? I know some people weren't happy. I personally think it's amazing. It's part of Batman.
I can understand to an extent why some people might not like it. Batman has always been, or like many of the comic book heroes, to be honest, he's been one who's been very anti-gun.
Yeah.
Like, he's never really needed a firearm to solve his problems. And it's less like a Batmobile, more like a Bat tank.
Yeah.
In all fairness. So I can understand why some people might think it's not very Batmanish for him to be rolling around with all these guns and so on. But from what was going on in that trailer, he's not trying to shoot people. He's trying to shoot what are essentially robots.
Yeah.
So it's almost like a needs must kind of thing there. Would there be anything in the gameplay where you know, like in games past, you'd find a mounted machine gun in the game and then suddenly it spawns a whole load of enemies running at you to shoot? I don't think anything like that's going to come in the game where there's just a whole load of actual living people for Batman to roll up Batmobile, jump in, boom, several times.
No, I don't think it's going to be anything like that. I mean, this is obviously being made by Rocksteady, who made Arkham Asylum and Arkham City, which are both very good games. They didn't make Arkham Origins, which is less well received. So obviously you can see that the Rocksteady are the studio who, you know, they know their Batmans, and they've now got the better hardware. And it'll probably be their last game with Batman, I would imagine, because they don't want to be tied to one series forever. But they definitely seem to know their Batman. So if they're introducing the Batmobile, it's going to be in the right way.
Yeah.
It's not going to be a gimmick. It's going to be used as like a gadget, the same way that he uses, you know, his Batarang and anything else.
I have read stuff where they basically quote it as saying it's going to be your new best friend.
Okay.
In this game.
So he's obviously not.
Whether that's because you're using it a lot or it's got a lot of helpful features along the way, I don't know at this point in time. I don't think they've overly stressed it.
No. I think, yeah, I mean...
I don't think you're going to see it charging through building walls constantly to come save you kind of thing, but at the same time there's probably going to be a fair amount of use of it.
Yeah. Well, talking of the Batmobile, actually, there's what's also been announced this week is that there's going to be some exclusive content for the PS4, so you can all scream with happiness now, PS4 fans, because you're going to be getting the Scarecrow Nightmare Pack, which is going to be exclusive missions only for Sony, and those missions will actually also involve the Batmobile. Yeah. So, I mean, that's for people like me who have both consoles, it probably helps make me lean towards getting it on the PS4. Now, I mean, that's not because I prefer the PS4 necessarily. I mean, I'm playing more on it than my Xbox. But at the end of the day, you want the game, or as much of the game as possible.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, like, while you've mentioned that as well, I saw at the end of one of the trailers on YouTube, I don't have any further details in this, but it does mention if you pre-order the game, you are able to play as Harley Quinn.
Okay.
Now, obviously, Harley Quinn's one of the bad guys.
Girls.
Well,
yeah. The gals.
Yeah. Being the other half of the Joker.
Yeah.
For, well, on off.
On and off, yeah. Well, throughout the whole Arkham series, pretty much. Yeah,
so what that entails, I don't know whether that's going to be like a little side thing you can do, or whether there's going to be...
Yeah, that would be quite interesting, actually.
Maybe Batman's going to turn her at some point.
Yeah, in Arkham City, there is a stage where you obviously get to play as Catwoman for a moment. Now it kind of veers off as like you say, like a side story. It's not like you're Batman and then you can like switch characters like you would in certain other games. It all ties together, but you basically become Catwoman and then it veers kind of off from the main path and then joins back on the path at a later point. So they've obviously shown that they can do it. I like the idea though that you get to play maybe a bit of the villainous side as opposed to always playing the right side. It'd be very interesting to see what they do.
Also, included in the game I saw is that they have, backing up Batman, is Barbara Gordon, who is the daughter of Commissioner Gordon.
Yeah.
In the comic books, she is the original Batgirl.
Yeah.
And she also takes on a different mantle at one point, which is what she is now, is Oracle. Now, in the comic books, this is after she is shot while she is Batgirl and is disabled.
Okay.
So she's probably more going to be on the tech support side for Batman, but in the start of the E3 trailer, you hear a female voice talking to Bruce about what's going on.
Yeah.
That is her.
Okay.
Now, whether that's the only other member of the Bat family, because there's no mention of a Robin.
No.
There's no mention of Nightwing, which is the grown-up Dick Grayson.
Yeah.
After he leaves as Robin and so on. And obviously the Batmobile, from what we can see, does not look like it can take more than one person.
No, but it's his own car. Yeah. If someone else wants a car, they can get it themselves.
Yeah, so like there's been no announcements on that, but it'd be interesting to see whether the rest of the Bat family turns up as well, or whether it is literally just Batman standing alone against the tide of evil.
I think my personal view of it would be nice for them to kind of make kind of little cameo appearances.
Because I believe Robin was in one of the others. I can't.
He might have been in Origins.
I think he was in Origins.
I haven't played Origins, so I can't really comment. Most people told me that it wasn't very good.
I've heard about him being at some point you have to play as Robin to go and save Batman.
That kind of does ring a bell now you're saying it, so I will take your word for it.
So it'll be interesting to see if anyone else turns up.
Yeah, all I can say, like just summing up this game, is I'm a big Batman fan. I've watched him growing up ever since the days of Adam West and the cheesy Batman, which, say what you will about it, I thought it was fantastic. I
can't fault it.
I remember as a kid, I was always, dressing up in my Batman costume, getting ready to watch it, but I was only able to watch it once I'd eaten my tea and stuff like that. So ever since I've been able to basically walk, I've been a fan of Batman. I think I really like him as a superhero, and Rocksteady have made some fantastic games, and I couldn't be more excited that it's coming to next gen and that it's really looking like it's a true next gen. They're going to have had like the best part of 2 years with this software now, or hardware rather, and I'm sure that the guys at Rocksteady are going to do a great job, and it's going to be a great experience. I just hope that it's not just like a next gen version of Arkham City. I hope that they do make it more than just like a bigger game, because I felt with Arkham City, whilst it was good, it felt very similar to Arkham Asylum. I mean, yes, it was more open world, but I nearly used your phrase there, open worldy.
Nothing wrong with that.
No, but I want the game to feel like it's a standalone game rather than just like, this is what we did before, except we can now make it prettier and bigger because we have more. But that's just my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned the other week when we talked about Assassin's Creed Unity of how those trailers there were the first ones I've seen in a long time that made me really want to play a game.
Yeah.
Not quite getting the same feel off the Batman ones, but it's one that's making me very interested.
Yeah, no, definitely. We didn't cover it in our E3 video a couple of weeks purely just because if we'd covered every game we liked, it would have been like about a 3-hour long video. And
we know the internet does not have the attention span for 3 hours.
I wouldn't have had the attention span to edit it. So.
Yeah.
But it was one of the best games at E3, and there's
Yeah.
a lot of people, you read through the forums, you read the people that are actually at E3, it's in there as their favourite game, so everything's looking good.
I would like to see a little bit more gameplay of you being Batman outside of the Batmobile.
Yeah.
That's the one thing I think would really cement whether I'm going for this game or going to hang back a little bit and then get it if I want to feel something.
You know you will, but once you finish...
It's coming out at a really good time as well, because like end of February, that's after, I mean, you've had the holiday period where all the games have come out, people have played them, completed them, looking for something new.
Yeah.
And then boom.
At the moment, I think February we've got The Witcher 3, which is a game that doesn't really interest me personally. Obviously Batman, and I think The Order is February, although it might be March. I'd have to double check. But those are the only... I mean, obviously we're still 7 months away, so
Dates can change.
Dates can change.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know what you mean. It's good that it's not coming out in October, because some people might miss out on it.
Yeah.
Because October's crazy. There's like 20 games coming out in the space of a month. But I can't wait. Anyone out there that's a fan of Batman, they should definitely make sure they're watching this game as it draws to release. And also any fans of any sort of action adventure game should be, because the combat system previously has always been a lot of fun. The exploration's been fun. It's got a bit of everything in the game, and I'm sure this game's just going to build on that and be a fantastic game. But we'll have a lot more on Batman Arkham Knight once it's out in 2015.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's about it for this week on the Game of the Week show. If you've liked what you've seen, then please do like this video and subscribe to our channel. If you've got anything that you want to discuss regarding the topics we've spoken about this week, please leave them in the comments down below. If you want to also mention anything about any upcoming games or any news that comes out after this video is posted that you want us to talk about, please also comment and we will respond to you. We will also try and get that third person back in the chair next week. I know it doesn't quite work as well when it's just two. Focus your blame purely towards Ashley for being lazy. For now, Dan,
Cheers,
thank
mate.
you.
No worries.
And we will see you next Monday.